I'm honestly sick of all of the BS surrounding health and pain and movement. We've seen so many people in pain who've been told to stop running, stop lifting, and stop moving. They've been taught to fear their bodies and fear movement when movement is the one thing they actually need more of. We've spent years teaching people how to get out of pain and get back to doing the things they love. And what we've learned is most people don't need fixing. They need clarity. They need to be taught what their diagnosis actually means, and they need a personalized plan to help them meet their goals. There's so much noise out there about health. I decided to stop getting angry about it and start putting the right noise into the world. And that's what the Made to Move podcast is. Some episodes are about pain and injuries. Some are about how to improve your health. Some are about what it actually looks like behind the scenes to build a different kind of healthcare. So if you want to understand your body, get out of pain, and take ownership of your health, and see what it looks like when a bunch of physical therapists try to change healthcare, this podcast is for you. Because we were all made to move. So it wouldn't be the Made to Move podcast without interviewing the person responsible for all of this. And really the person responsible for me sitting in this chair right now. The person responsible for creating Made to Move, deciding he wanted to choose the harder path and do physical therapy differently. So I am very proud to introduce the founder of Made to Move, Yves Gege.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited. It's weird to hear the word founder, honestly. But yeah, that is true.
Why is it weird?
I'm in so many different partnerships right now. Like we're now in a partnership, every company I have. So like remembering when I was just solo by myself feels like very, very far away. Yeah. So I wouldn't have it any other way though.
This is your first baby?
Yeah, definitely my first baby.
I'd like to clear things up first. How do you say your name versus how do you spell it?
You spell it Y-V-E-S. The S is silent. Most of the people I coach will get it wrong, and it drives my wife crazy. I hear it some of the time. Usually it's not that bad, but yeah, pretty often I get Yves, and it's just like, okay, that's fine. You know, like,
every time.
I can only correct people so many times before it's like, all right, this isn't getting through to you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to roll with it.
It's that people are like, oh, like she sounds great. And I'm like, well, she's a guy. So, and then like the Yves or the Yveses, and I just have to kind of like coyly be like, yeah, and Yves said this. And then we still struggle with it. But before Made to Move, I'm going to start with the same question I started with Elliot. So who were you? Who was Yves Gege before Made to Move?
Ooh, okay. I had a special needs little sister. I also had a multitude of injuries as a kid, dislocating my kneecap 3 times.
Oh.
And it 100%, those 2 things definitely put me on the path of PT. I knew very early that that's what I was going to do. I actually don't remember a time besides a professional soccer player I wanted, you know what I mean?
The other choice.
That was the other choice. Really, it was between the 2.
Tough decision.
Yeah, truly. I didn't have the talent, honestly. But I knew I wanted to be a PT. And it was, my sister had a physical therapist. Her name was Denise. She actually went to MUSC as well. And to give you some background, my sister was born normal. At 3 months of age, she had spinal meningitis. So basically almost passed away. From that, she had cerebral palsy, severe scoliosis, really never had the mental capacity over like a 5 or 6 month old, and needed a ton of PT, needed a ton of orthopedic surgeries, like went through a lot. And I still remember, like it's a vivid picture in my brain of the interactions between my sister and the PT that would like come to our home and stretch my sister, right? It's like, you know, she had very contracted muscles, like, you know, her elbows would be super stiff and she'd just have to painfully pull them. And it was super painful, like mainly crying during all of those visits. But she was always so happy to see Denise and always like so happy when she left, right? Just like pure joy. And I was like, oh my God, like what an amazing relationship to have. And she didn't have that kind of relationship with any of the other healthcare providers, you know? And I was just like, yeah, this is where it's at. And then also just like when I would get injured, I still remember my first PT. You know, I had a dislocated kneecap. I didn't know what was going on. You know, they obviously reduced it and got straight, but my quad was gone. And I had to go to Roper Hospital And this guy's name is David. He's still a PT around here today, which is kind of crazy. Cool.
Shout out to David.
Yeah. If you're listening,
Does he remember you at all?
Probably not.
You're a pretty unique name.
But I just remember him taking the time to explain everything to me. And none of the orthopedics did that. And it was like the same thing. I was like, this is awesome. Like they're spending so much time and energy and just like showing me what's going on and the path forward. And I was just like, this is exactly what I want to do. I do not. My dad was an office worker, worked in logistics. And I was like, I know I don't want that. And I know I actually want this. And those two experiences just influenced me. And from then on, it was one path, and that was to be a physical therapist and work with kids for the rest of my life.
And what are you doing now every day?
No, I'm back in an office chair, sitting on Zoom,
Logistics.
Full circle moment. But I'm still like, the goal has always been to impact people's lives. And, I'm just doing that in a different way. And still most of what I do is based off relationships and communication. It's still what I love. But yes, it is a far cry from doing pediatric physical therapy for sure.
Yeah, I always forget about that part of your story. So was there ever a part that you did pediatric physical therapy?
Yeah, straight out of school, I actually worked for the school system for 2 years. So I went into schools and I worked with special needs kids. And then I also worked outpatient pediatrics. So I actually had 2 jobs. As soon as I'm done with the school, 3:00, I go see 2 or 3 patients at a, regular outpatient pediatric office. Usually same thing, kids with CP or scoliosis or some sort of, lifelong diagnosis, basically, spina bifida, things like that. I actually really loved that. That was super fun. And then I worked for coastal therapy services. I actually worked with babies, which I really enjoyed. Like I helped some kids like learn how to walk for the first time. I can't
picture this at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was so fulfilling. And because I was a male in the pediatric world, it was very sought after, because there really weren't any male pediatric PTs. So like, people were very appreciative that I was there and I would get requests and, I did really, really well. I burnt out pretty fast though. It's pretty slow. Like it could take me a year and I could reach one of the goals with the kids. So like, it's pretty slow.
It's progress. Lifelong, really. It's just like maintaining, exactly. I feel like.
Yeah, it's tough. And then parents were really difficult too. Like it was to see a child that could make a lot of progress and then a parent who just wasn't really on board or wasn't doing the things we're doing, really difficult for me to kind of stomach. So just like long-term, it's probably around 3 years. I made it about 3 years and I was like, I think I've got to do something else. Like there's got to be something better. I want to impact more people too. That was my big driver. And so I was like, it was also economics, pediatric PT. Like it's really difficult to own your own practice and like scale that. And obviously that's important to me too and my family. And I just didn't see a path there. So I took a hard pivot.
And so what'd you pivot to?
I had a unique opportunity to here locally work for an outpatient orthopedic practice, kind of what we're doing now in Made to Move, but insurance. And I worked there for about 6 months. After about 6 months, I had the opportunity to open their second satellite location. So brand new location. They have their home office. They did 1 satellite and I would have been the 3rd satellite. So I built that satellite from the ground up from just me and an admin person to about 4 PTs, a couple of aides, 2 or 3 billing people, making $1 million a year.
2 to 3 billing people.
Oh man, the
billing department is huge.
Oh my God. You'll love this ratio. We had about 2 admin per PT and that held true. So every PT you'd add, you probably have to add 2 admin people to it at the time.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
So it's like when you add a PT, you need to like double their salary and maybe 2.5. That's what you're going to be paying.
Yep.
The margins. I'm just like thinking of the math. Like,
oh, the math was so bad.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I learned. I learned the math of that business, there's the math side of things. There's also the impact side of things, but the math side of things was super drastic. I was like, I can see what my boss is doing. I can see how this business model is. And like, I don't know if there's a path forward, at least not a path forward that I wanted to do, I took another hard pivot after that as well.
So how long were you with that company? 4
years.
Okay. So
maybe 5. So like that, I sold my stake in that company after 4 years of building it. And it was probably like about a year of training in their like home office. So maybe 4 or 5 years.
Why did you decide to pivot from there?
Two reasons. And same thing, like it's funny you have these like inflection moments. And so one reason was burnt out PTs. Like I was burnt out. I was leaving my house I had kids. So I was leaving my house at 7 a.m. I was getting home at 7 p.m. And I was just like, I'm never going to see my children. Is this what my life looks like?
And there's like no end in sight. Like it's hard to picture a future.
There isn't.
It's like, well, in 3 years, and it's like, no, this is what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I saw, again, look at my boss. He owns a clinic. What does his life look like? Like he got Wednesday afternoons off, but beyond that, he was doing the same grind that I was, you know? And I was like, I can't do this. It's again, one of those moments. I leave every day and my neighbor is like a guy who works from home, and I leave every day and he's freaking there. And I get home and he's still there. And I'm like, damn it. Like, why can't I have this kind of freedom too? It doesn't make any sense. And so that was one driver. And then the second was patience, honestly. There are patients in the insurance world who will just come back and see you for life. Mm-hmm. They're in chronic pain. You know, they got other things going on. And I remember I was with two patients at the same time. And they started chatting, these two patients together. And I noticed almost instantaneously that their entire identity was around their pain and their diagnosis. And nobody had told them anything different, you know? And I was just like, I can't help these people. Like, this is no longer a movement issue or a musculoskeletal issue. This is like so much more, and I'll never be able to actually help these people in this model. And I'm just noticing this now. And then I kind of reflect back and I was like, this is just not the impact that I want to have. You know, I want to be able to make complete transformations with people, and this model won't allow me to do it.
Yeah. It's like who they are at that point.
Exactly.
It's like especially like they've been to PT for years. And in that kind of clinic, you're coming twice a week or 3 times a week. And it's like, oh, well, I'm a Monday, Wednesday, Friday person. Oh, I'm normally a Tuesday, Thursday. Like I remember on rotations, you'd meet the people that they were like, oh yeah, like we've had 6 of y'all. We've had 6 students since I started coming to PT here, and you learn more. And they're like, I've been coming here since 2011 for my back, for the same thing. And it's sad because it's like, you're supposed to go to physical therapy to get better and like to solve it. And they weren't even ever making any progress at all.
Yeah. It honestly like broke my heart right there and then. And I was like, I can't, you know what I mean? Like for me, when something like that happens, I'm pretty black and white. I'm like, I've got to figure something else. Like I can't stick around here anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I will not be able to give these people what they need. You know, we're writing the same goals. We're trying to like help them with their pain, but like their pain is their identity. How am I going to decrease your pain when your pain is your identity? I was like, I don't have any more tools in my tool belt within this model, of course, right? Because we could talk about how the model is broken, but like the incentive is too high to stick around. You know, the incentive is too high for them to stay in pain.
Yeah. It's like the model, like you said, like the math and the impact, like in healthcare, really, like as physical therapists, I wouldn't say like the math is like super enticing no matter what you do. Like there is more freedom, and I feel like there's more growth potential when you're not like catering to insurance companies all the time. And you can also be a lot more transparent. But like no matter what, it was, for me, it was always like the beliefs that I saw in the insurance model. But then I learned that those beliefs are like rampant no matter what.
Yeah, it's true.
But I felt like the insurance model like catered more towards fragility and keeping people stuck, and like the math of it also kind of like made that worse too. So I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, cash base is all just, I remember my classmates were like, oh, it's greedy, you know, whatever. And it was like, it's not just about changing the model because of the math. It's because of like what you're able to do for this patient and the person that you're able to help, because the narratives and like the equipment and the system, and like when you walk in to a carpeted room with tables, you are going to feel very differently about yourself and your potential than when you walk into a gym with barbells and rigs and people working out. And so it's like, it really is what you said. It's the math and it's also the model. So how long were you in this insurance world when you realized I can no longer do this anymore?
I took action, honestly, pretty quickly. At the time, it seemed like my only option. I look back now and I'm like, what a terrible idea. You have a newborn and a 2-year-old. You have a mortgage and you're going to sell this company and you're going to start over in a room in a gym. Like, that's the worst idea ever. But to be frank, I really care about PT and patients. And I was like, I can't ethically keep doing the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
There were other issues within that company that also didn't allow me to stick around there, like the way it was managed, and there was other things kind of going on. But yeah, it was honestly the only option. So like, I don't know, 3 to 6 months of me saying this isn't for me, putting in my notice, giving them plenty of time to find a new operator and negotiate the sale of that business. And then
I'm sure that went well.
Oh yeah, it was really smooth. It's another story for another day.
That probably helped you get out though. Like, it would have been one thing if everyone was amazing and you loved leadership and it was just the patients. It probably helped you get out a lot quicker. That like all of it was pretty terrible.
Oh, totally.
Although it probably sucked at the time, it probably sped it up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I look back now and all the conversations I have with other PTs, it's almost always like a clinical change, right? Like you kind of said equipment, and I was just like, there's so many people that come up to me and it's like, all I wanted to do was get a squat rack in my facility, and they said no, and boom, now they're doing their own cash-based thing. Yeah. And it's just so interesting to think about, like, are we going cash because we're greedy? No, we're going cash because like it's our only option at the moment, and let's be honest, at this point, sorry y'all, we're right, because more people are going cash than ever. Yeah. The APTA is now reaching out to us in PT Biz. We're going to be presenting at CSM. Really? Yeah. Like we're understanding like this is now a model that it's not just PTs anymore. You know what I mean? It's, other disciplines as well. MDs, like they're all like, this makes sense. It's no longer, I mean, there's still probably some people who feel that way, but it's a huge minority now, which I think is really awesome to see. Cause you're right. That was a narrative for years. Yeah. People would attack Made to Move. You remember those days. People would literally attack us.
Well, and now look at what they're doing. The same thing. Yeah. So it's just like what we always used to get frustrated about, and like what upsets me. It's like the other physical therapist down the street is not the enemy. And like when physical therapists that are in an insurance model on Instagram shit on the ones that are in a self-pay model, I'm like, we should not be the ones fighting. It's the insurance system and the publicly traded for-profit insurance companies. Like, they're the ones that are the problem. They have created this. We are just all trying to like help our patients and not have horrible lives ourselves. So like, why are we arguing against each other? It always just felt so petty.
PTs I think are like that. I mean, think about all the things that we do clinically and we argue with each other, right? Like we're not really good at building each other up. Probably not, we're in our own bubble, right? Like I'm assuming that happens in other disciplines as well. I guess fitness world is probably like that too, so maybe it's not, but yeah, it is super frustrating because I've never been somebody, I've had that narrative my whole, like, cause I was in the insurance world. Like, I don't think it's bad. It's just different and it caters to a different kind of person and has different limitations. We have significant limitations in a cash model as well, that's the bottom line. So there's not a right or wrong. It's just more like what aligns. That's just what aligned for me. Yeah.
Choose your trade-off.
Oh my God. It's aligned so much. Like it's the best decision that I've ever made besides marrying my wife, Amy.
That's cute.
Yeah. Threw that in there.
Yeah. I remember it was 2018. I somehow found Danny's podcast. It was through Brandon Vaughn connected me. And it was the first cash-based physical therapy that I had ever heard of and ever seen. And it was like a Friday we had off. I drove from Charleston to Atlanta. Danny started at 5 a.m. I was staying not in Decatur. So I drove at 4:30. He had like 3 patients. And then he was like, I gotta go, peace. But I was like so desperate to see, just like, what is this like? And then he was like, oh, well, like y'all have one in Charleston too. And I was like, obviously you didn't do a great job marketing. No, you didn't. You were fine. I think you were just then like, I don't remember what year it was or where you were. You were in a CrossFit gym. It might've even been like before you were in Discovery. And I finally found it and I was like, oh my God, like this is it. And like, I can never go back to the other model at all. And I think I thought about this in the shower last night, preparing for this. All my thoughts come to me in the shower.
Makes sense.
When people are like, oh, well, I don't want to come see you. I want to use my insurance. Like I pay into this for a reason. I don't know if a lot of people understand like what they're paying into and what insurance really is, because like in our country, like insurance is like these publicly traded for profit companies. So it's just like, you're either going to pay the small business down the street and like, the people, the owners, or you're going to pay the Aetna people, that the CEO basically.
Right.
And you're going to pay either way, but Aetna or whatever, United or all of them will just deny. Well, no, you paid into this and you submit this claim, but we're not going to cover it. And like every year I hear, because a lot of my friends are having babies. Every year I hear, oh, this was covered for my last baby. It's no longer covered anymore. Or like, I had this physical therapy 2 years ago and now my insurance is denying it.
Right.
And like, it just keeps getting worse and worse. And I'm like, at what point is it going to explode? But before we get into that, okay. So you realize you're like, I can no longer do this anymore. How long did it take you to come up with Made to Move, or like to decide your next step?
So, that's interesting. I actually haven't thought about that till now. So I had a really good reputation as a therapist. I also, I started CrossFit. So CrossFit enters the story. Yep. And I had no strength and conditioning background.
Just soccer.
Just
being a
soccer.
Professional athlete.
Yeah, running. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Man, second choice. So I had a reputation about being somebody who was just more like movement first. And
you were already known for that.
I was already known for that. And so I was having people from CrossFit gyms come in. And I remember another one, this kid's name is Steven. He's now a dentist somewhere, but he was like a really good CrossFitter here locally. And I was like, hey man, what's going on? What you in for? He's like, not really anything. Like, I just want to move better. And I'm like, awesome.
Whoa.
I was like, repeat that? What'd you say? He's like, yeah, I just want to move better. Like, can you come look at my push press? And like, am I cycling them quickly enough? Like, where am I loading the bar? And I was like, this is awesome. And so I started getting more and more people like that. And so I think from that, I just started saying, well, these are the kind of patients I want to see. And this is the niche I want to be in. And I also probably have to give a shout out to clinical athlete, Derek Miles, all those people. Like, I had a trainer who was at CrossFit, WAPU, no longer exists. And he was like, you got to check out this clinical athlete thing. This thing looks awesome. And I watched 2 videos and I just consumed their content.
You're hooked.
Oh my God. So hooked. And I was like, it's like I had always known that some narratives didn't match for me, but I'm a pretty trusting person. Like, I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm breaking up scar tissue. Sure. Sounds good. Like, you can only squat past 90 degrees. Like, okay, I guess it makes sense.
Your knees are going to explode. All right. Yeah,
exactly. Totally. I was like, okay, cool. I'll take your word for it. Like, you're smarter than me. God. You have a PhD. Like, what do I know? And then I just watched what Quinn was saying and Derek was saying. I was like, this makes so much more sense. Like, wow. Like, finally a narrative that I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah.
And I didn't really enjoy a lot of, like, I liked exercise. I liked getting stronger. I liked the idea of like movement. And so I just went down that rabbit hole hard. And that's where Made to Move was basically built. And so I just knew I needed to go cash because the insurance economics didn't work. And I knew I wanted to work with that niche. And so like those 2 things combined equals Made to Move basically. And then, I didn't know anything about business or marketing. And so like I paid a bunch of money to get like the worm and to get the name, what I mean? I had some like friends in marketing and I was just like, what do you guys think? And luckily I did that. I feel like I did a good job. Like the name stands really well and the logo stands really well.
The name is perfect.
Yeah. Like there's some people who changed things 1,000 times and did it on Fiverr. And I was like, no, I feel like this is going to be something big. So I was like, I'm going to put some time. And it took us months. You can meet with this marketing team. They're like, what do you think about this? And you go test some things. And so, from all that, it was like, this is perfect. This is awesome.
What a lot of people will do, and if you're listening to this and you're about to start practice, they'll name it after themselves.
Please don't do that. I knew that was wrong.
I remember Joe Norton, like when we were in the same group, he was like, everyone keeps calling and I'm trying to get my new physical therapist to have patients and they keep asking for me. They're asking for Joe Norton. Yeah. And Elliot was like, well, Joe, what's the name of your practice? And he was like, oh shit. Like, I understand totally like why you'd want to start with that, but it does make it challenging.
Yeah.
It's also like, name it something that it represents obviously like the values of the business. Like just from hearing and seeing Made to Move, people know like what we're about versus like Hannah Breal physical therapy. Like you have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was always curious like how you came up with the name.
We just like researched it, looked at different like versions of thing. Like the first name was Compete Physical Therapy.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just like, I was sure I had the LLC and everything. And then I don't know how we came across it. We were just like, it's like baby names. You just like start just
because you didn't
like,
have ChatGPT at that point,
no.
you know?
Yeah. I Googled
Didn't have anything.
We had Google at least.
Yes.
And I just like that name stuck out to me. And there was like a Made to Move TO. And so I was like, let me put a 2 there because it's like, for me, it's like one-on-one, it's you and it's the patient. So it's 2. And I was like, oh my God.
I was always curious why I was just never questioned it.
Yeah. There's like as soon as I heard that, like there's a spotlight that came down from heaven and it just said, this is it. You figured it out.
This is the one.
Yeah. And I always wanted to scale because I loved, the insurance clinic, like leading teams. I loved seeing I took students, like I used to do lectures. I'm like, I just loved that piece. So I knew I was going to scale beyond myself. I never knew to what degree. So that was always the plan. It was
GGPT though kind of has like a rhyme to it. Yeah. What year did you open the LLC?
2016, I think.
Because when did you have your first space?
Yeah, or February 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's officially been 10 years.
Yeah.
Like this month, like, which is really, really wild.
Yes.
I
tell people that and they're like, what? They're like, it seems like a long time to have a business, let alone cash business, right? Like it's fairly new
it's undergone a lot of changes in 10 years.
That's an understatement. Yeah. Many more metamorphoses.
A butterfly, truly. Yeah. So when you started Made to Move, what do you feel like was the main problem that you were trying to solve by starting and opening Made to Move?
I would say the main problem for sure was physical therapy in a completely different way. So movement first PT, basically. I wanted people to come into my practice who cared about their health and fitness and wanted to stay that way. The demographic you typically get at insurance clinic is not a ton of that. Like you're super excited if you're insurance clinic, you're getting the ACL kid or the sports kid. So I knew I wanted to see for sure those niche of people. And I wanted to give them a better version of PT. Like that's it. I wanted them to hear a completely different narrative. I wanted them to get more one-on-one care, and I wanted to develop relationships with people. Like it was basically it's interesting to think about my background coming from peds. I get an hour, sometimes plus with these kids, and I get like lots of time. They have to commit for years to work with me. And that is awesome because like, I just have this level of commitment that I never had in ortho. Mm-hmm. And it's actually like in a weird way, Made to Move is a merging of peds and ortho. Like I get the time and the commitment from them. Plus I get like the model of working with them for an hour. I get to, load them up. And so it's like the combination of those two things. So that was the problem. We can talk the economics too. Like ultimately it was a economic thing. Like I knew that if I wanted to start an insurance clinic, like the space I had, which is a room and a gym, I couldn't scale. Mm-hmm. Like you're not profitable with one person. You cannot literally be profitable. And I wanted to be like, worst case scenario, I see 20 to 25 patients a week and it's just me and I get to live a pretty awesome life. Yeah. Because I was so burnt out at that time that was kind of the plan. I was like, I'm so done with PT. Like I almost left the profession and became a trainer. You know what I mean? Like I looked into franchises.
It's such a familiar story, Yeah. And like, it's so sad that, I think it's still happening. Like so many physical therapists are leaving the profession and going to something else because it's just not what they thought it would be, or it's extremely demanding for years, or it just like doesn't actually align with what they thought it would be.
Yeah. I just think PTs deserve more. Like there's just so many reasons, like problems I was solving. The other one was just like, I had to like beg doctors to send me referrals, and like those patients just like weren't bought in or committed. Right. Like I didn't want to do that anymore. It's like, I want people who want to be here and want to change their lives. Yeah. And I was like, I think I can do that. Like, I don't know how to market or sell right now, but I think I can figure it out. Yeah. So
that is why I was so intrigued by neuro. If you can remember that part of our story, like similar to peds, Neuro was like, you're going to work with these people one-on-one because you can't have multiple people when you have someone with a stroke and someone with a spinal cord injury. Like, you're with this one person, you build a relationship with them, and there were no like weird narratives. It was just like, we need to help you train to be able to meet these goals. But then in ortho, the people that were like, you know, healthier than someone with a spinal cord injury or post-stroke, we were treating them like they were so fragile, and it was like 3-on-1 and you're going to lay on the table. And it was like, why are we changing all rehab principles? So there was a moment where I was like, screw ortho. You know, I don't want to do that. I'd rather work in a hospital or neuro, because we're just teaching these people like way different things. And like, you're right. Peds is very similar to that too. You're just like helping this person with what they care about. But in ortho, like, why do we have to do so many weird things?
Yeah, there's a lot of no's. You're right. Like, it's a lot of scared, like you're making people afraid to move.
Yes.
And you'd hear that a ton. And then you're like, this doesn't make sense. Like, we should be getting people to move as much as possible.
Yeah.
As safely as possible. And it doesn't make sense to tell somebody to never lift their shoulder over their head again. Like, yeah, those were tough narratives to hear. Like, I don't see them anymore because I don't do patient care. But like, the stuff that I heard was just like, I got the system. Like, you got a knee replacement because your doctor said you had bone on bone. I was like, do you have any pain? They're like, no. And I was like, oh my God.
You just got this surgery.
Yeah, were you going to tell them no? You know, like tell them, but bad idea. Like, oh, you shouldn't have done that.
No. You're like, well, you're here and now we just got to make the best of it. Or there'd be so many people that would come in and would say like, I just have to do 4 to 6 weeks of this so that I could get surgery. And they would come in just like not bought in at all. So it's like, even if this could help you, you're not even going to try. Or I have to do this in order to get an MRI. So you're just like putting these people into the system and basically telling them this is a formality when like imagine if you wanted to lose weight, and which like, unfortunately this might be happening. Someone who is going to prescribe Ozempic is like, well, in order for me to give this to you, I need you to try 2 weeks of working out. And if you don't hit your goal weight in 2 weeks, I'll give it to you. It's just like, I'm going to go for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is never going to be enough time to solve anything. And I'm going to half-ass it for sure, just so I can get the thing that I've been told was actually the solution. And I think traditionally, like physical therapists, I think healthcare in general makes people feel like they need to protect themselves from movement. And movement is something to be like very hyper aware about and nervous about and afraid, when it's like movement is the thing that could help with so many aspects of your health. But we just have had it so twisted. That's what always got me. Yeah. You know, that's what pissed me off.
And luckily those narratives are changing. I mean, we're both seeing that. Like, there are more and more PTs who are saying the things that we're saying. We used to be like, people would look at us and be like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely making these changes with my tools. Like,
oh my God, you're right. We made some wild videos. Like,
oh, for sure.
There was a video of me with a plastic spoon, like breaking up adhesions on Blake, and like Nate would run in. Like, we were like pretty inflammatory because we were just like, this is so ridiculous. And people would comment and be like, what are you talking about? Or like, there was a local doctor who commented on a split squat video.
I remember that.
And was like, research. Your knees are going over your toes. And I'm like, sir, you work with like professional athletes. Like, is that what we're, and you're like, oh shit, that is what you've been preaching to people.
It's tough to see. Yeah. And that's definitely why Made to Move was born. It's like, honestly, like, how can I control the narrative? How can I help as many people as possible? The only way to do that is probably to start something brand new, because nothing like that existed in my area. No. You know, like, I didn't know anything like that did exist, you know, besides, you know, Danny was the only person I was familiar with. And he was like, if he could do it, I can do it.
Did y'all know each other at that point? Did you connect? Like,
he was doing mobility WOD at the time. He was teaching. Yeah. Robert, the CrossFit gym owner, went to a mobility WOD class and then connected us, connected to you. I was actually the first person to pay Danny Mattei for consulting. So I spent whatever, $500 to
you were PT Biz customer zero.
I was PT Biz customer zero and now a partner. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That is kind of,
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. You have to experience it first, and you were super bought in.
Yeah.
So when you first opened Made to Move, you were in a closet in a CrossFit gym. Mm-hmm. You had a big beard for sure. Do you remember those videos?
Oh man. Gray on gray, grout fit.
You just like the life like had left your eyes. You're like, this is a sciatic nerve glide. And then you'd like go onto your table and do, you're just like, can this guy get a haircut? Like,
so bad. Yeah, I didn't cut my hair or shave for 3 months because I just didn't care. I just hung out with my kids and worked out. It was actually a magical 3 months.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
You probably needed that. All those videos are still on our YouTube and like,
Go
it's
check
amazing.
them out. Yeah, I still use them in a lot of my presentations. I'm like, if this guy can do it, you can.
You can do it. Yes. Yeah. What were some of the challenges in those first few years of opening Made to Move?
Man, so many challenges.
What are the things you remember and you're like, wow, that sucked?
The only experience I had from marketing was dropping into doctors' offices, asking them to bring lunch and then trying to meet them, and they didn't want to talk to me and then they would leave. And so I really didn't know what else to do. So the biggest challenge was how are people going to hear about me? Like, how am I going to, I didn't even understand. So the biggest challenge was I didn't know anything about marketing. I thought if I just had like a good website and I had a reputation, people would come in the door, and that is so false. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
So I just had to learn on the fly. That's where that content came from. Somebody told me, is like, you got to put content out, and so I started putting content out, and then I started doing workshops. So it was just like, it was just learning. And then also just learning what I really enjoy doing. Because like, for instance, I don't necessarily like workshops. I don't like speaking in front of people, but I loved building relationships, and I was really good at building relationships. So me talking to gym owners one-on-one, finding kind of my zone of genius within the marketing world was really, really key. And then selling, selling was really hard. So the idea of somebody comes and walks in and, at the time it was like $110, for a visit, and there were no packages. It was just visit to visit, and I'd be like, all right, you want to come next week? Like, I think I can help you, and that was the extent of my sales pitch every single time. And people would not stick around because I didn't know how to communicate effectively to them. Yeah. So, the iterations of us improving how we communicate to clients and how we help them get to commit to staying healthy and active for life has changed significantly. Those were the biggest roadblocks for sure. I think I was a good clinician, ultimately. I think I cared a lot and I had a lot of like foundational stuff, but those are the biggest learning curves and the biggest challenges by far.
I feel like, are those the same roadblocks for PTs who open their own clinic now?
Definitely. Yeah. They're usually good clinicians. They think they need to be better clinicians, but usually they're very good clinicians. But they don't understand how to communicate effectively to get buy-in, and they don't understand how to market themselves. For sure. Those are the biggest roadblocks.
Yeah. It's like we all think the skill that we need is another continuing ed or another tool, when it's really like PTs are not taught how to communicate value and how to explain things in a way that makes sense to the patient. Like, I remember when everything had transitioned, and we'll get to that, we had to redo the website. And I remember like Elliot redid the website, and it's like November of 2021, and he spent so much time on it, and we showed it to you. And you were like, have you read StoryBrand? And I know now that when you're like, have you read this? It means like, that's your way of giving feedback of like, you need to read this and then redo it.
Yeah.
But now looking at things, I mean, we're still pretty wordy people, but it was like learning how to communicate to the patient and what matters to them versus like what we thought mattered as physical therapists. It's incredibly different. And I think that so many PTs are like, well, I need to learn this like new manual technique, and I need to go to this dry needling weekend.
Yep.
It's like, well, you need to understand, like, do you even think you're valuable? Like, do you understand how you can change someone's life? And can you communicate that to someone else? And I also think like when you were opening self-pay physical therapy, I mean, it's still fairly new. Mm-hmm. And so you had no one to follow. There was nothing to compare it to versus like, I know if I'm comparing a gym to a gym, like at the core of it, like I kind of still know what I'm getting no matter what. And I can tell like this gym is going to be much better than this gym,
right.
But it was just physical therapy. So people are looking at Made to Move, and then they're looking at the, insurance clinic down the street, and it's like, well, it's just the same thing. And so now 10 years later, like we have so many patients, we have testimonials, we have reviews, and it's like so easy for someone to see that it's different. But I feel like in the first couple of years, you have to be the one to explain why it's different. And that's so much harder than someone who's like experienced it as a patient.
Yeah. We never got that skill set in school, basically, which is like, remember I would do one lecture for second years, and it was health promotion. And basically that's what I said. I was like, you need to be able to explain what we do, how we do it, and get people to commit to, bettering themselves and like promote health. But I was like, this isn't health promotion as in like you go and, talk to your YMCA. It's like, you should be having this conversation with every single patient and explain to them like why committing to their health and fitness makes sense, be able to explain to them what their diagnosis means, what their prognosis is in as little words as possible and with little jargon as possible. And getting PTs to do that, like if you're a PT, listen to this, try to do that right now. Try to like explain it as if you're talking to a 6-year-old, about, pick a patellofemoral pain, like pick that and explain it.
Like, why does that matter for your health?
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's the first skill you should learn if you're trying to go cash for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So you open Made to Move, you're in a closet in CrossFit gym, you finally figure it out. So what happens after that? And like, I obviously, I'm not a part of the story yet, and I want to get your perspective on all of that. So how did you go from big beard to opening the space down the street?
I mean, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, for sure. A ton of mistakes. Learning a lot of things on the fly, hiring, people, learning how to lead, learning how to sell. I mean, it was just me at CrossFit Discovery, right? Just like you said, I'm not in a closet. I'm actually in the electrical room. So
it was a glorified closet.
There was a whiteboard on top of the electrical box in the room, so people couldn't tell.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
The biggest whiteboard
That's what
you've
you'd
ever
write your
seen.
exercises on, and you're like, take a picture of this.
Whiteboard was from the beginning, which is cool to see. That's continued. But yeah, I mean, we got a lot of coaching. I just had so much to learn. When I look back about who Yves was back then, who Yves is now, like the transformations are just like, it's insane, the difference between the two and what I say, how I say, the amount of websites that we probably had.
Oh my God.
The amount of marketing companies that I tried to work with, like all these things. And I mean, the first big move for sure was hiring Dane. We messaged each other on Facebook.
Cute.
Yeah. And we're like, hey, bro, you want to go to lunch?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, do you want to be best friends?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I hired Dane $10 an hour, 10 hours a week as a start to help like answer the phones because I didn't want to answer the phones. And
you can't. You're with patients.
Yeah. And I honestly hated it. I really did not like that part. I didn't like the initial sale. Like once you were sitting on my table and I could talk to you about your diagnosis, like I loved that piece.
Yeah.
But like
that's
getting
so
that
physical
first
therapist of you,
Yeah. But getting them to come in the first door was tough.
Yeah.
And so hiring him was a really big deal. And it's just like not being alone. Like I'd been alone for like, I think almost 2 years at that point, or a year and a half. And I was like, this, I want someone else to kind of, and so that was absolutely huge. And then once that happened, I was starting to get traction everywhere, it's like I would have CrossFit gym owners come see me and be like, Yves, I see you everywhere. Like, what are you doing? They're like coming to me for business advice. And I was like, okay, I'm getting good at this, right? Like more social media, more workshops, just keep building relationships. That's where the podcast started as well. I started doing that in the electrical box room.
Yeah, it was like a mic in the center of the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, 100%. And so I just started, leaning more into that. So I was able to buy back time. So I just started marketing harder. More patients started coming in. I thought getting a business coach was really important. I've always had a business coach in some form or fashion. I remember my business coach at the time saying, you need to get 10 evals a week. And I was like, you're freaking crazy. Alex.
Solomon?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And he was like more of like a metrics driven. He's like, if you want to reach this goal, you need to do this.
Totally.
And it was like super helpful. I was like, you need 10 evals a week. I was like, that's impossible.
No way.
I was like, there's no chance. I was like, I could do everything in the world. No, a month.
Okay.
A month. Sorry, a month. And I was like, there's no chance, man. Like, we can just stop now. Like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it did. And
yeah.
I was like, oh my guys, we need to get to 15. I was like, oh, then it did again. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, this is awesome. And that's when I hired Nate.
Yeah.
And there was like the bromance of the century.
Oh my God.
Just
yeah.
the three of us, just like, lifting weights and like
not wearing shoes, wearing tank tops.
Yes.
You'd walk in the clinic and
I did have to say stop tank tops for Nate.
but
he wasn't happy about that.
For a while, it was
a while.
tank top and just bare toes out there.
Yeah.
Like, put that thing behind a paywall. I would walk in and I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Pure chaos. But it worked, you could say probably a lot of things about me, but like, I'm just very authentic. Like, it's just, I'm just
it was so fun too.
Yeah.
And
we had a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really did. And during that time is when, it's me, it's Tate, it's Dane. We're in this room in a CrossFit gym, and Robert basically comes up to me, and he's been, without him and Angel, I would have never been where I am today. And I've told them that plenty of times. They're like, this is not what we signed up for.
Yeah.
Like,
because you need so much space.
You got to leave, bro.
Peace Love Hip Hop is crushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that was one of the honestly worst moments because I was like, where am I going to, like, I had no plans of getting a standalone space that did not exist, at the time. And so, at least not in the way that we did it, like having a gym that was now it's everywhere, you know? And so, I had a lot of sleepless nights. I did find this one space that we're in now at 3:00 in the morning.
Oof, on LoopNet.
During a cold sweat, literally messaged the person that day. And luckily somebody knew somebody and we got into that space. And, that was definitely one of the scariest times. For sure.
It's always like the times that like you feel the worst that, like you said, you look back and like, that was the pivotal moment of like, imagine if you would have never left the clinic that you were in. Like, imagine if it hadn't gotten so bad to make you leave. It's like the water has to boil for you to jump out. And like Made to Move would not be where it is if obviously we were still in a electrical closet, but like you had to get so uncomfortable to make the next step. And I feel like that probably like just keeps happening.
For sure. I'm pretty slow to change. Like, you think about it, I've been a PT since 2006, right? And there are people who were like, right, Elliot did it right out of school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you came on immediately. Like, it's just like, it happens a lot quicker now. I needed a long time. And so I was just lucky that I had a little bit more.
But it didn't exist.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's true.
It's like when we like, we stand on the shoulders of giants, because like Elliot and I were able to like take the leap right out of school because you had already done it and because Danny had already done it. And like, I'm sure now people are able to do things because we are doing them. And it's like, when you're in it, you're like, oh, like it's taken me so long. But I feel like the fact that you chose a path that like literally had not been done before, like you had to create it, shows me like how much pain you were actually in that other model to make you have to leave.
It takes a lot of pain for me to change, for sure. I like to keep things basically
the pain of change has to be more than the pain of staying the same.
Yes.
Or no, less. The pain of staying the same was more than the pain of change. Something like that. Yeah. And it was. So Dane, Nate, you in a standalone clinic, walking around without shoes on and really without shirts on. And like, I want to understand your perspective from then to then hiring your first female hire ever.
I mean, at the time, a lot of things were going on too. Like, I definitely got the entrepreneurial bug. I started other companies, some companies did well, some companies didn't do so well. So there's just a lot going on. Like, Made to Move I was still seeing patients, but there was multiple things going on. And I got to the point where Dane was running a lot of the day-to-day. Nate was seeing most of the patients. I knew we had scale opportunities, and there were like talks of like, maybe those people would at some point, like I would hand those things off at some point. But they never really came to fruition, and during that whole time, I knew that Made to Move had the potential to go really, really far. Like I even got to the point, which there's just so many stories. There's so many stories. Like at some point where I had licensed Made to Move, you remember, in 3 different clinics, and I was like, people love this. Like I was like, but I don't think I'm going to be the one to do it. And it's like, who's going to like continue this legacy and who's going to take this to where I think it should go, which is like, to be frank, on a national level. Like, how can we do that? And so I was waiting for that right person to walk in my door, I guess.
Wow.
And for just to to work out, you know, like I think a lot of things don't happen intentionally. I think if you create an environment where you care about people and you're willing to like be uncomfortable and grow, the right people will enter your life, and seem to happen.
Yeah, I remember on the phone with you February of 2020, you were like, something wild would have to happen for you not to be able to come in May and have a full schedule. And then March 2020 happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you remember.
I blacked out for those, 5-6 months.
Yeah,
Those
and it was
really
like, well,
tough.
can I still come? And it was like, well, it's just going to look very differently. And I feel like if this wasn't happening in Charleston, like it might have never happened, because like if we were in Boston or New York, like places were like, you wouldn't have hired me. You wouldn't have told me to come. Mm-mm. I would have had to find something completely different. But it was like, fortunately, like we're in a place that in healthcare, like is essential. I know there was like some gray area there, but yeah, I remember the last Christmas card picture. It was just like y'all in tank tops and like Amy
flexing.
Was on the couch.
Yeah,
at
we
some
brought
point.
Amy in to soften it a little bit.
Yeah, because it was just like bros, like flexing. I think it's so funny to like look at the picture, what it looks like now. Yeah. It's literally just all girls.
Yeah. There are so many iterations, and the cool part is there was a lot of difficult times, but I look back on all those pieces of the journey and it was mostly really, really fun. Like we had a good time, and some of those people are still around. Some of those people are not still around, like good and bad side there. But like ultimately we had a ton of fun during that time, and I think that's really important. If you ever start your practice or be an entrepreneur, like you've got to enjoy it or you're not going to last.
It was so fun. I remember like being so excited for team meeting day.
Yeah.
And
our
like
yearly retreats.
I was so pumped for meetings. Yes. They were so fun. And I remember we'd have content day and we would film these ridiculous skits. And it was like, we had the privilege of being able to like, we had so much time that you don't have when you're in an established business, especially in the insurance model. And like, we had time then that like Made to Move Now does not have, like we can't block out a day where we all just like film wild videos together and eat cookie cake and go play spike ball. But it was like, we had that luxury then, like very startup vibes. And it was just like so fun, but it has been, obviously things have changed for the better.
It's the phase we were in. If you think about it, we were figuring, standing on giants, right? As that analogy, I feel like that's where that was being made. There are so many ideas that I solidified and I use now in that process. We would whiteboard so many different versions of scripts. What are we saying here? Even just like what we believe clinically now. Yeah. We really like hash those things out. Like I remember sitting down with you and you're like, how are we going to talk about like the cup overflowing? How are we going to talk about pain plus stress plus sleep? Like how does this all fit into like what we say with patients? We just like sat there for an hour and just like wrote down, this is kind of how I explain it. What do you think? And I think having the time to do that was awesome. Was key. I think, there are so many things that we use today,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And now we're in a different season for sure.
Yeah. But there were so many things like that I learned, like, yes, because of you, but then like probably a huge part of like where I turned clinically was Nate. Like he, genius, like knows so much. And like the way that he would correct me too, like was never like, don't say that, it's bad. He would just be like, here's the research, like, here's what I say. And like, I would not be where I am clinically, and like Made to Move would not be saying the things that they're saying. Yep. I feel like he really came in and like showed us a new world and was so helpful for just like learning and saying what we say. And it was so nice too. Like I would be like, I want to say this to a patient. Nate, is this true? And he'd be like, yeah. Or like, yeah, we have research.
Yeah, you were really excited when you're like, oh, okay, it's Nate approved. You have to kind of run things by him to make sure that we're doing things that were research based or evidence based.
And like, you got to find a way to say it like that makes sense to you. There were a lot of things that I would like copy paste and then I'd have to like reiterate to make sense in my words. But yeah, I remember just sitting there. I remember like you'd be in Nate's office, I would be in now AG's office, and I would like run and like knock on your door and be like, I think I figured it out. And like, what about this? I remember at one point, it was kind of in the summer right before we merged and all that. I was like, we're going to need so many more people if we want to accomplish what we want to accomplish.
Interesting. Yeah.
And it finally like hit me. And you were like, yeah. And I was like, how are we going to get those people? You know? So talk me through like your side of the story of like when Elliot enters the picture and Prime Performance Rehab and like the merger and all that.
You came on, right? Like more stories, right? You came on, amazing hire. You did so damn well. Just selling plans of care like it was your job. And just like saw your passion for what we do. You were very dedicated to Made to Move. Yeah. And that shined through. And then Elliot came, I think once, maybe twice, like talked to Dane.
Y'all
and
had
like,
meetings.
Yeah, picked my brain on things. Yeah. And so, we hired Rachel and just like, we were just so interwoven through that entire thing. And during that time, my other two businesses, right, EFT and PT Biz had just skyrocketed. And so I got to the point where I knew, I was already backed away. Like, I don't think I was even seeing patients back then. I think I was just running team meetings, or not even team meetings, basically just doing one-on-ones with people. And back to what I said before, like I knew that I wasn't going to be the one to be able to take Made to Move to the moon. And I remember like you would always just like say little things that just showed me that y'all were having conversations in the background of what it would look like for all of us to do this together. And I don't think it was my place to like say anything or push that narrative. I was like, if that's going to happen, it's going to happen organically. It is not because like I had tried to force things in the past with people. It was actually something I am working on, therapy, all that kind of stuff. It's like, I don't want to impose my will or like, I think this is the future that you want. And so I'm going to make sure that it goes that way. Yeah. Like you shouldn't do that for lots of reasons. And so I was like, whatever is going to happen, I think it's going to happen organically. I think I literally was making that transition mentally during that time. I'd learned a lot of things, I think through Nate and other employees too, like things that I did poorly. And so, I remember the day just like you do, you're like, why don't we merge? And I'm like, we got there. Yeah. I was like, I knew it, we got there. Yeah. And the timing was also perfect for me because I was like, Made to Move is important to me. Like, I think I've got two people that believe exactly what I believe, both clinically and like from running a business standpoint and like just our core values as human beings. And if those things aligned, I was like, we're going to find a way to make this work one way or another. And then obviously through those conversations too, we were trying to work out the logistics of how this would happen. And I don't think we were close, honestly. I don't think we were close to finding actually how the merge would happen. I knew we would figure it out, but like it was slow and was kind of arduous and it was like very time consuming. And I was just like, it was frustrating a little bit for me, honestly, during that whole negotiation process. But I was very committed to it. So I was like, we're going to figure this out. But I was being pulled in a lot of different directions. And I am in Edisto with my family. I don't know if it's spring break. We're just there for a weekend.
No, it was like a Thursday in August or September or something.
Yeah, true. It was like random. That's true. Because I remember it was like that following weekend we met. And Danny, I don't even know what we're saying. I think I'm just like hashing out how this merge is going to go, what's going to happen. And he's like, why don't you just sell it? And I was just like, why don't I just sell it? And it was just like, somebody was like, why did I never even think of this before? And I told Amy and she's like, what do you think? She's like, please do this.
Really?
She was like, yeah. I mean, I was being stretched so thin.
Because you were like full-time PT Biz at that point. And it had blown up.
I was coaching everybody. I was probably coaching over 100 people at that point, know, plus EFT was growing and all this was happening. And I think she was so happy when that happened. Yeah. And it felt immediately amazing. Heart, gut, brain, all those things aligned. I was like, I always think on things for 72 hours. I was like, I'm going to sit with it. But it only strengthened those 72 hours. I was like, here we go. Yeah. I was just almost worried from my end. I was worried that like you guys wouldn't want it. Yeah. Like you were like, that's a lot of responsibility to throw on people too. Like I knew y'all cared enough to think, I don't know, like I want you part of this fold, like help us transition. And so I was kind of nervous on my end at that. Because then I don't know what the solve would have been. you know, like I'm sure we would have figured it out, but it would have been way harder.
It would have been so clunky. Like it was just,
it could have only happened that way, I think, you know, at least as well, it's gone so well.
Yeah.
And I think if we would have like merged and I still would have had to be part of it, I don't think it would be where we are today.
Yeah, it was definitely, I remember those 2 to 3 months of just like you and Elliot would meet. And I was kind of like, I felt like I was kind of on the outskirts of it. Cause like y'all would talk, cause Elliot owned the clinic and you owned the clinic. And it was like, where do I fit in this? And I remember we had a meeting and I was like, you can't put Elliot in a position above me. Like, it's just not going to work.
There were so many logistics there. Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, how do we do this? And we were going to have like a leadership team and like, what do you get? What do we get? And there was a point where you were like, Made to Move is my baby. I'm not really ready to like give any of it away. And then it was like a week later and you were like, I want to sell all of it. And I was like, are you sure? But like, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like a thing that I thought would happen in 5 years, not then. But I have to ask this question because someone DM'd me and asked me and I already showed it to you. And he was like, I'm trying to get the clinic owner of where I work to sell me the clinic. How did you get Eve to sell you Made to Move? I want you to answer that question. Because I responded to him and I said, I guess I'm just a boss ass bitch. And he was like, what?
I think it's a unique set of circumstances. Like I am a certain human being. You're a certain human being. That's difficult to do. To be honest, care about the brand more than anything else. Like I sense that from you day one. Like you would do anything for the worm. Like you were willing to sacrifice almost anything. You were so committed doing it. Being able to have that level of commitment, like that level of ownership, and there's a skill level too, right? Like you also need to be really good at what you do. So those two things aligned, it was a question. It was easy.
You were also like you said, like in a place where like EFT and PT Biz, like we're taking all of your time. Mm-hmm. We haven't really talked about PT Biz that much. What is PT Biz? And like, what is your role with PT Biz? Tell us about that.
So honestly, PT Biz really just helps physical therapists start their own cash clinic and then scale it. Super simple. It's me, Danny, and Jared. Danny's really the face, the influencer, if you will. And then Jared does a lot of the marketing behind the scenes and ops. And I just do the coaching. I still love coaching, right? It's like every part of my life has still been some version of coaching. And I just lean into that. Now I coach a lot of coaches, so the level of impact is kind of like, it's a little bit different, but yeah, that's, pretty simple. You know what I mean? Like, we've helped at this point, thousands of clinics,
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Which is just crazy to see, going to APTA and CSM and just like people recognizing me who don't know, you know what I mean? Is
such a cool feeling.
It is a cool feeling, a little weird, but also a cool feeling. And just to be able to help the profession in a positive way, like as a therapist, you can help only so many patients. As a clinic owner, you can only help so many patients, right? As somebody who builds other clinics that are like mine, like the impact level is just so high. So, it's awesome to see. So, yeah.
And like, what a cool proof of concept too, to be like, you went from being like, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to start this thing, to now like you help other PTs start that. And there's thousands of them. And it's like, it's so common. It's not like against the grain anymore. It's just like, it's usually the better decision for the physical therapist to do this thing.
For sure. And now I'm not saying, look, you could do this. It's more of like, this is already being done.
Yeah.
Do you want to do this or not? Like, it's more of just like an effort thing, where before you kind of were really sure, and now we just have like, we know what it takes. Like, I know exactly, I could build a cash clinic anywhere in the country at this point from scratch,
Yeah, that's wild.
It's crazy. It's just like, are you willing to put the amount of effort in that it takes probably to do it? That's probably the biggest
and like, are
challenge.
you the right person?
Yeah, because it's still really hard. It's actually not. In some ways, it's easier. It's not easier. It's actually just more. I have a structured path now that I can tell you, and I didn't have that before.
Yeah.
But it's still just as hard. You still have to make these. I see people make these. I saw you make these transitions that I had to make in a condensed time period. In a lot of ways, it's more challenging. I see people go from 0 to like $500,000 clinic in a year. it's like, you got to learn a lot of stuff
You have to
for
learn
that to happen.
so much.
Yeah. And like, that almost sounds too stressful.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been able to slowly grow. That's more my pace, I think.
Yeah. I remember like talking with Kelly Starrett about this. It was like right when it had been a few months and he was like, what you're experiencing is like business jet lag.
Yeah.
Like you have had to overcome so many different time zones in a very short flight that like it makes sense why like this feels so uncomfortable. Like the first 2 years were, I mean, it's always kind of uncomfortable, but like,
I have this analogy where you're just like, you're getting pulled by a rope and there's just like nothing you can do. You're just like hanging on, trying to, figure this out as you go. Yeah.
I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was like, it's gotten better every single year, but there were many points where I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I should do this. Like, this is so painful. And yeah,
it's so painful. Like I haven't found anything yet, maybe besides kids, that will put a magnifying glass on you as a human being, all your weaknesses and how terrible you are at everything. Like if you want that journey, cool, go do it. Like the upside highly outweighs the downside, but you do have to be willing to do that. Like I've changed so many beliefs. I've changed so many things about who I am as a human being in these past 10 years. Like it's unbelievable.
You have to become a different person. Like every year I'm like, what kind of person do I need to be this year? And every year I look, I'm like, that year I was kind of like the mean one. And like that year I had to kind of like step away. And like that year, like every year is, it requires something different. You just have to like keep evolving.
And stay true to who you are at the same time, which I've seen a lot of people lose that. Yeah. A lot of people lose that. You haven't lost
How do you stay, like, how have you made sure, because you've gone through so many transitions and like roles in different companies, like how have you made sure that you are not just doing it because the ball has been rolling for so long, but that this is aligned with like what you care about and who you are?
I think you need to be doing it for a better reason than honestly money or like fame, whatever you know what I mean? Like there's got to be a deeper why. If you anchor to that deeper why, you'll never lose sight of what you're doing. Like there's so many businesses out there, even cash businesses, right, that are just trying to get as many patients as they can in the door. They're trying to sell them as many plans of care as humanly possible. They're just trying to like make as much money as possible. And like, that's not what we're about. You know what I mean? And so like, as soon as you lose, that's where I see people lose track. Like they have different reasons for doing what they're doing. You just only do that and like take care of yourself, like there's some inflection points where, Danny, Jared, and I did a really good podcast back in the day where it's just like, we all talked about like all of us came very close to the point of like destroying everything in our lives, our health, our relationships, everything. We had that inflection point. And I think most people probably go through that. And like, you either choose like, okay, I'm going to work on my health and my relationships and my own emotional, mental health, or I'm just going to continue down this road of destruction. And so I think taking care of yourself, super, super important mentally. Like now there's just like, there's so many non-negotiables. Remember we used to do non-negotiables, like so many things I learned that I try to bring down to other people. But, it's I go for a walk every day. It doesn't matter like what's going on. Like before this podcast, I only had like about 15 minutes. Yeah. And so I just like literally walked down to the edge and back. And just like, there's just like certain things that like, I know I need to do, or I'll start going down that wrong road again. Yeah.
Cause it's easy. Like it's tempting.
It's so easy
to be like, I can skip the workout today. I have something else to do. And like the first couple of years, it was like, how am I ever going to get everything done? And then you realize you're not. You're never going to cross off everything on your to-do list. And so if that's the goal, you will absolutely crush yourself. And there are definitely seasons where like you have to push harder.
I'm in it.
And seasons where you have a little bit more bandwidth, but you can never lose like the like non-negotiables, like the minimum effective dose of like, I have to work out. I have to do these things every single day. Otherwise, like I will be the person that like I don't want to become and no one wants to be around. And I think too, like you have to realize like, why are you doing this? Like, because it's okay. I remember when we had the conversation, you were like, do you want this to be a lifestyle business? Like it's just y'all in Charleston and it's just you and Elliot. You probably stay at this size and like, this is where it is. And that's totally fine. Or do you want this to grow and scale? Because like those are completely different businesses. And I think
different lives,
completely different lives, completely different futures, completely different sacrifices. And so what a lot of people will do, like I'll find myself looking at the people who they have lifestyle business. And I'm like, oh, well, they have this and we don't have that. But then they look at us and they're like, oh, y'all spend so much on social media and like, oh, like you don't really treat as much as you used to. And like, oh, your lives are kind of crazy. And I'm like, which one do you want? Because it's going to just look completely different. And you have to be okay that no matter what, you're going to sacrifice something, but you have to know what it is you're trying to build.
Yep.
Is it's going to be completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. And have that like deeper why, you know, for a lot of people, it's like they're trying to build legacy for their families. They're trying to create a more, you know, wealth creation, you know, for themselves. Or like they really care about like the community and health and fitness, or for us, like we're obviously trying to change the course of healthcare. You know, it's a pretty deep why.
What's the hardest thing that we could try to do? Let's do that.
Let's do that, you know, but that's fun to chase, you know what I mean? And like, I have learned that about myself. Like I do enjoy the game of business. Like I do enjoy chasing something pretty big like that. Like it gets me very energized and excited. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's like, to go back to the insurance stuff, like every day was like, I had no energy. I hated it. You know, and it's just like, I was miserable, you know, and like nobody deserves that. Like we did the retreat recently, you know, and like so cool to hear AG's story and Nick's story. And it was just like, we saved them.
Yeah. Like the people that
Dan's
were in.
Dan's story.
Well, and I mean, Nicolette too.
And Nicolette too.
And like Rachel, she was also at a insurance clinic.
Right.
Probably like
all of them.
Weeks,
you know what I mean? They were like, hearing it from their mouths of how miserable they were, and they thought they had nothing else. And then we came in and we're like, this is exactly what I wanted. Like that's what Made to Move is about. You know, that and then the patient stories. You know, thanks for making me cry on a yearly retreat finally. You know, like that was super cool to see. That'll be just like all these moments I shared. That'll be an inflection moment for me too, where I'm there. Mm-hmm. I've been as passive as somebody can be in a business, you know, basically. And to see that level of impact still happening from something I started 10 years ago. Like there's, again, besides the birth of my children, there's not many joys that are that.
Yeah. And to see like some of your friends were on the screen, patients that like the business that you created, they're seeing someone who like,
it had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. But like, because you did this and you did it the way that you did, like these people are now they're able to change their lives. That, I like when that person was on the screen, I like looked over at you and I was like, this is such a cool moment to be able to like impact your friends and family in that way. Was there ever a point specifically like in the Hannah and Elliott version of Made to Move that you like doubted us, or that you were like, oh my God, they're making a horrible decision? I want you to be very transparent here.
Doubted you. I mean, we have meetings for sure where I get frustrated and I'm like, I don't think they can do this. Like they have those meetings.
Yeah.
In full transparency, but like, no, like never to the point where it's like this, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't think I've had those moments, like ongoing moments for like 24 hours where I sit on and linger.
But there's sometimes in meetings that you're like, I don't think that they can do this.
Yeah. Like I'm a non-confrontational person. Y'all two confront each other pretty like vigorously. And there's sometimes I'm like, I don't know how are you going to come back from this conversation?
We do every time.
But you do every time. Yeah. And that level of passion. I don't think so. You know, like there's never a point where I've just been like, they don't have the skill set that's needed. TBD though, right? Like we don't know. It's only going to get harder from here. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I have the skill set to go beyond where I am right now. You know, like
well, like 2 years ago, I would say that we didn't have the skill set. It's like you have to either keep getting it or you have to find someone who has it. But like if you're going to keep going into different stages, you have to keep challenging your skill set. Like,
and that's why I know like what's 3 years look like from now. Like I have no idea, and I hope it's just as ridiculous as these last 3 years have been, like in a positive way. You know,
like,
you kind of
my God.
And you're like, I could never have pictured this. Like I'm kind of realizing that it's like I've been around long enough now, right? That I'm like, if I'm doing it correctly, in 3 years from now, I'm a completely different person again. Everything's completely different. That means I did it well. Like if it's the same, that means I did it bad. That means I failed.
For your goals. Yeah.
For who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
for sure.
What do you feel like has been the biggest mistake that you've made throughout like any of the businesses, or just like, are there any mistakes that you look back and you're like, that one really stung?
I don't know if there's one big mistake. I think one of the things that I have continued to do, and I think I finally learned within the past couple of years, is I'm a very trusting person, and I think people have really good intentions, and a lot of times that's not true. And so I've been in, like, I had a startup, you know what I mean? And like, yeah. And so I had somebody who was going to help me kind of develop the software, and that person did not do the things that they said they were going to do, you know? And I've also been in like personal relationships where I think people are going to do the right thing, but they don't. And so I think kind of learning that for me, like being a little bit less trusting, is probably a very, very hard lesson to learn. Like I'm still very trusting, but now I put some guardrails around that, you know? And, but yeah, I can't say like, there's not like one huge mistake. Every single mistake, believe it or not, I'm so grateful for, you know, it's like so cliche, but it's true. It's like, I've learned a lesson. And it's like that whole adage of like failing fast. Like I'm such a believer in that. I just want to want to break stuff and then figure it out. Like I've actually been like that for a very long time. You know, like I just will try something and it's like, that didn't work. Cool. What else can I try?
Figure it out.
Yeah. I'll probably keep doing that forever.
Great. That'll be fun for me.
That's true. Yeah, let's change exactly everything we do of how we sell Land of Care. Like, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
You know, like
big
at our
transition.
stage. Yeah, like, yeah.
And a month later, I'm like, you know, all right, great. Let's like, what's next?
You get there every time.
Yeah. I mean, it took me a little bit to get there, but I just have to figure out the answer to almost every question that I know will come up. And then I'm like, okay, we can do it, which I think is a good pairing for you and Elliot. Because y'all are like, let's do this thing and whatever, and we're going to figure it out. And
Dane was like that for me before. I think it would have not gone well had I not had him around. You know, I probably would have destroyed that business, to be honest with you. Yeah. I need somebody kind of to be like, well, let's think through these options.
Yeah,
and
like
how
hold
they'll
on
affect things
real quick.
Like it'll be fine.
Yes.
No.
What excites you about like where Made to Move is at right now?
I think we have a really good foundation. Like I don't think we need to, for the first time ever, I feel like we don't need to change anything. Like there's nothing I want to like, there's things you can always improve, but like nothing needs to change. Like I feel really good clinically. I feel really good leadership wise, sales wise, marketing wise. Like I think we have a blueprint that I think we can scale on a big level. Now all we need is more people, you know, and we need, you know, obviously there's revenue constraints, there's other things, but like, I just need more people. I mean, just like, that's it, which is like, that's a really cool spot to be. I mean, proving that we can scale something like we did with Emily and Charlotte. Yeah. Like,
which I wasn't even planned and had like an extreme hardship.
Nothing's ever planned. Think of all these conversations. I know. Like nothing has been planned.
I know. But like that was, yeah. When I look in 2021, like our first retreat of like what our 3-year goals were, it's 3 years later, we were not doing those things. We were doing something completely different.
Yep.
And like, I think also to like have Emily go through something like so wild and like, it just really has been a crazy journey of like, okay, it's also because she's her and like she's that type of person and the right person. Like, and that's why it's just confirmed, like you have to have the right people. Like we could have the best standalone space and the best lease and whatever in the best city, but it's like, if you don't have the right person, I think you could make it work in a different, with different values. Like I think that the business could work, but it's like the business that we want, you know? Where do you want, you're like, I don't know where it's going to be in 3 years. And that's the fun of it.
I can still make predictions. Doesn't mean I can't make predictions.
Where do you, like, what do you want? I would say like Made to Move, but then also just like where you're at in your other businesses too. Like, what do you want in 5 years? What does this look like? Paint the picture, visionary.
I would love Made to Move to have 10 plus locations.
5 years. Better get going. That's great.
I think once you do 2 or 3, that's kind of like, I think momentum starts to like build. So I think that's actually decently realistic. Again, we just need to find more PTs.
This is officially an ad to hire more PTs.
Reach out. I'll sell you on it real fast.
Yeah.
What about me personally?
Yeah.
That's the one I don't know as much. Like, you know, I've got my hands in a lot of pots. You know, PT Biz, I'm still very active there. I help y'all at Made to Move, but maybe not as active as, I could be potentially. EFT is still growing like crazy all over there. Like, this is going to sound contradictory now. It's like almost like if I'm still doing what I'm doing, I'll be pretty happy in 5 years, as long as everything else is kind of growing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Well, I think the growth, if you're still doing what you're doing, it means that your role probably has changed. Because like to be in a leadership position and to own these businesses, like you do have to evolve. Yeah. But I think like what you said earlier, of like, I think that we're in a good spot of just like continuing to do the things that we do and amplify it. But I feel like because every year we have had to like make this drastic change, we must change something to make better mode. And I feel like I finally am like, what if we just need to keep doing the things?
That's what I think we're at. Yeah.
But it's so tempting to change it, and be like, well, what if we did this now? And because it's working, it's like, no, it's working. Just keep doing. What are the things you've been doing for the last 3 to 5 years, and just keep doing them?
Yeah. I'm kind of at that weird crossroads too. Like we've talked about this. Like I definitely want to get more PTs to do what we're doing. To come work for us, with us. Also just do it across the country. So it's like, do I need to lean into that more? You know what I mean? Like, should I reach more people? Should I kind of lean into that? Like, I've really enjoyed being behind the scenes more so than being on the front.
You might have to become a different person to meet your goal.
Oh.
Yeah. Gross.
I can still fight that even now, even though I know it's the right thing.
This time next year, you're going to look back and be like, I am doing these things. I am a different person.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Because you care and you want these things.
I do.
So changing healthcare and doing everything that, we've been trying to do for the last few years, like, is obviously very challenging. What is the deeper why that you root yourself to? Why are you doing this? Why do you care? Why do you want to grow?
I actually thought about this one the most out of all the questions you asked me.
Glad I asked it.
For me, this is my type A, or like my efficient brain. I want to have an input that has the highest amount of output. So like, what is the thing that I can do that I can bring to the system that'll have the biggest downstream and ripple effect? Like, I want to make as much impact as possible, because I know now as I get older that I only have a limited amount of time. Like, I really like my kids. I have hobbies now. It's kind of a big deal.
Whoa.
I know. Weird, right? I like spending time with my wife. I like, take time for myself. These things are important. They're not going to stay around. So I have to have like as small as an input as possible. And so the thing that, for sure, the core thing is that we're honestly, like, most people suffer quite a bit. Like, they don't move their bodies. They feel really crappy. They're not doing the things they want to do health and fitness wise. And I want to help as many people make that change as possible. It's exactly what we do, boots on the ground. It's exactly what, like, I do when I coach people. It's exactly what happens as other physical therapists open practices. Like, for sure, that is the thing that I want to change the most. And like, the thing that I could do now with my skill set, for sure, is just like bring what I know about business at this point and share that with as many people as possible, because clinically I can only help so many people. So it's just like, I think it really comes down to that. Like, ultimately, you know what I mean? Like, I still look around and the patients that we see, and it's just like, there's nothing more important than like moving your body and exercise. You know what I mean? It's like that little input right there has such a gigantic output to everything else. The downstream effect is massive. So it's just like, cool. Like, we can't say that enough. I've been repeating the same thing for a decade, and I have made like the smallest dent possible. And so it's like, cool, I'm just going to keep doing that, And like, for right now, the best thing I can do is help other people grow their business. And so that's what I'll keep doing, with people that are aligned with my values, basically. And so we're just going to keep doing that.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah.
All right, last question, maybe. What would you say to physical therapists who are in the model that you are in, that you wanted to leave, that are just feeling like horrible every day, that are burnout, they're not doing the thing that they wanted to do? Like, what would you tell them? You
should leave right now, because this is how I sold all the licensees in it. I'll tell you right now. The economics of what, like, you can replace your income in a cash physical therapy world seeing probably 10 to 15 patients a week. Like I just guaranteed, like you can literally do that today. And guess what happens if it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
You just go back to being a PT again. So this is like the lowest risk thing you can do. There's no risk involved. There's none. Like go try it. Start aside. Like that's the thing that's crazy to me, why more people aren't doing it. Like I get the mental barrier around it. It took me 10 years. I went PT for 10 years before I did it. So I get it. But like ultimately now it's not a question of like, can this work? It's like, do you want to do this or not? And not everybody has to be as big as Made. Not everyone wants to change healthcare. You can be a lifestyle business. There's plenty of people and they love it. You can see 10 to 15 people a week, charge $200 an hour and change your family's life. And
so many other people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think that they have to have like this amazing wild skill set and like they have to, I think a lot of people too also think that they have to start their own business.
Yeah.
And I think like that's what PT Biz does, but I've always wanted to be able to provide the PTs who they love treating. They want a different model, but they don't want to have to take the risk of like starting the business and owning the business and being the business person. Like come to Made to Move. Like I'll take the risk. I'll be the business person and like
so many people are hiring and
give you safe
models.
haven, you know? And I think that's cool now that you don't have to start your own thing to treat how you want. But like you said, like there are so many SNFs and home health and hospital systems. There'll
be no issues. AI is not taking your job.
Like if it's all only this crumbles.
We have a PT shortage right now.
Yeah.
Like there are recruiters who are begging for you to come work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's never been easier to, find a job as a physical therapist. And so, yeah.
That's cool. That's you can do whatever you want. Like you can try whatever you want. And if it all crumbles, like there will still be something for you. Like how many other professions get to say that? And like it might not be the most beautiful, glorious job that you've ever wanted, but you have job security. So like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah. I think our profession too, like, actually I have some data that I'll share with you that I think will prove this, is we have a big confidence issue. Like we don't believe that we're worth it as a profession. I don't know where that came from. I don't know how. I am a product of that as well. Like I never thought somebody would ever pay us $279 for an eval. I still hear that and I'm still like, are you sure? Like it's crazy. And like there's so many people who just don't think their self-worth isn't there, or they're like, they don't believe that PT is that valuable, which is crazy. And the reason I say that is, you know when PT Biz grew the most?
I have no idea.
COVID. You know why?
Because they had to.
Because they got fired and they got laid off and they're like, well, I got laid off. I might as well try
Nothing else to lose.
And they're like, literally, like we added more people, I think, that year than we ever had before. Maybe we had less competition too. That's fine. But like ultimately it's just because people were like, I guess I got to do this.
Yeah,
like
the ship's already burned.
Yeah. And like they realized that the stability of their job wasn't as stable as they thought.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I could tell people. It's like, you think you're in a stable job, but like ultimately things can change. Private equity can come gobble that up. And then like it happened here in Charleston where like people's jobs completely changed. And there are people who owned a clinic and eventually they got booted out and they had to restart. So like, it's not as stable as you think either.
Yeah. I had a few friends who worked down the street, who got furloughed because of COVID. And a couple of them started their own thing. It was like, might as well.
Heck yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta be forced to.
Sometimes the pain, it's gotta be boiling, in order for you to jump out.
Yep.
I'm probably going to regret saying that in the next year,
Definitely.
Well, where can people like find you and connect with you?
Yeah. Physicaltherapybiz.com is the website if you're kind of interested in starting your own cash clinic. Clinical Cash Flow is my handle right now. So
right now?
Yeah, right now. Could change. You never know. I'm managing that page, so you can reach out to me. I'm always happy to answer questions. Like I still get on phone calls with people who are like, what do you think? Like what's going on here? And I'm like, I'm just happy to, if you're a PT, or in the allied professions, basically, like I'll talk to you. I still feel very passionate that like the PT profession is like, can have one of the biggest impacts in healthcare. So I'm going to help as many as I can.
Thank you for coming on.
That was fun.